And here we go. The PVL is back with its Invitational Conference, and the F2 Logistics Cargo Movers take the first win of the conference against the Fresh Foxies, the new girls on the block. Let's break down what went down with PVL analyst Jamie La Victoria, fresh from that game.
Yes.
Or since the PVL is back, Jamie's also back here.
Jamie is also back.
Thank you, guys.
We're eager to get your takes here. Very eager. Interesting things that happened in that game. Of course, F2 did win that game against the new team, the Fresh Foxies. But before we go into the X's and O's and really go deep into it, your first impressions for the Fresh Foxies, because even if they went up against a team with championship aspirations, I personally felt that they gave a good account of themselves.
If there's one word to describe the Foxies, is they have the hustle. I mean, the scores were tight. They did lose in 3 sets, but you know, when you're under the guidance of Coach Jerry Yee, you're in good hands. And they did show it in their game. And they're also a champion team as well.
I mean, if you take a look at it, basically they're a rookie team. Most of their players are new in the PVL. But let's talk about the F2 Logistics Cargo Movers. I mean, they won their first game, and Ivy changing positions in the first game. Your thoughts on that, Jamie?
Well, in the last All-Filipino Conference, she was the open spiker for a bit because Myla Pablo was injured. So she kind of had a taste of that, but she played so well in this last match. And what confused the Foxies was her long ball attacks. And they had a hard time with the defense. And they weren't able to study her prior because she was new today.
Yeah. You know, you take a look at why players change positions. It could be a function of the personnel that they have in a team, could be a function of injuries or whatnot. Why do you think they moved Ivy from a middle blocker to an open spiker?
There's actually more attack strategies if Ivy is there, because not only can she spike in the open, but she actually can do combination plays that involve middle attacks. So because they added her there, Majoy Baron was able to play again and be a starter in the game.
Right.
So 4 months to learn the position, give or take, given the off-season. And what's your grade for her so far? Again, new position here. And it's hard to say that you're going to be expert on it in such a short amount of time.
I would give her a B+.
Ooh.
That's high.
Some room to grow, but you know, that's a high.
Kasi, you know?
And I give her B+ because offensively it's there, but in terms of, because she's an open spiker now, she has to do service receive, and she's not used to that. She has to play defense in a different position now. So those are the little tweakings that she has to do, but in terms of offense, it's 10 out of 10.
And before we move on to the other players of that game, personally, because in basketball, when you try to switch positions, you don't really see that. From point guard, you don't play center. But, you know, when you talk about this...
from experience?
From experience. I mean, I've never played the center, right? But, you know, Jamie, what are the differences between those two positions for the other fans? And, like, you know, how hard is it to do that in the PVL?
Well, if you're a middle blocker, you literally have to block everything, right? From the opposite spiker to the open spiker. But if you are an open, you just focus on blocking the opposite, who's on the opposite side. And they also play different positions in terms of defense. So there's more thinking when it comes to middle blocking. Not saying that you don't think as much as when you are an open spiker, but there's less to think about.
Right. Let's now focus on some of the debutants here. Let's focus first. Let's go back to the Fresh Foxies first. Gail Pascual, only player with double digits, 10 points, 7 attacks, and 3 blocks. Good start for her here in the PVL. You take a look at what the Fresh Foxies are trying to build. Where does she fit?
She's a leader on the court. I was able to review her and research a bit of her games during the NCAA season 97. She was finals MVP, and she was the best opposite spiker this past April for NCAA season 98. So she has the tools, she has the leadership, and she just needs to gel more with the team. I think that was lacking from the game that I covered earlier. Just the chemistry is not quite there yet.
And as a whole team, like, talking about the Fresh Foxies, what are the things that they have to improve on? Not just, you know, Gail Pascual.
Communication and patience, definitely. They can't rush the results right now because the talent is there in terms of individually, it's there. But when you mesh them together, they still need to gel more and have more chemistry.
Well, speaking about MVP caliber debutants, have you talked about Mars Alba? Again, coming in with a finals MVP hangover. Yeah, that's a bit of a big name. Finals MVP hangover in a good way here, but and it feels like mentally, she did not look like a rookie.
Unfazed, I have to say. And she's also guided by Kim Fajardo as well. She was the starter from the game earlier. And I also mentioned this during the game that the confidence and the composure that she has, it's there. She's distributing the ball evenly. She's able to stay composed during the difficult times, and that's a sign of a good setter.
And usually there's always going to be that adjustment period when you go from the UAAP, from the college division to the pros.
That's right.
And you've played in both. What are the differences that Mars has to, face now that she's in the PVL?
Well, the UAP is a big stage, but PVL is a much larger stage, as we all know that, and the competition is much higher. So in terms of that, she has to adjust on gelling with a new set of girls, right? Because she's used to playing with her UAP teammates,
for
but
5
now
years,
that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
So adjusting to vets is what she has to do now.
Well, let's go to way too early, I guess, opinions based on their first games. Talking about F2 and Farm Fresh. Of course, F2 wanting to do a lot better. The last time around, they now look at themselves as championship contenders and look at their lineup, rightfully so. You take a look at their first game. What are your first impressions of them this conference?
I have to say that they do hustle as well, but at the same time, they're playing more collectively as a team. They did mention in the timeouts that during the off-season tournament, they were able to have more team bondings. So they were able to really secure that trust and that bond, and it showed in the game today.
And Farm Fresh, I think it's safe to say that no one's just going to walk over them just because
That's
we
right.
haven't seen them in the Europe, at least majority of them, just because we haven't seen them in action before. I think the quality is there to be seen.
There's definitely more to be shown from the Foxies, and I'm sure Coach Jerry, they're going to go back to the drawing board and probably have training later. We'll see, but I know they have more to prove.
Jamie, we really appreciate you coming here, coming
Thank
back
you.
on the show. You did a great job in front of your family here in the studio.
Stage mom and
Special
dad
episode.
recording.
Yeah, this is the most animated she's ever been on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Victoria, maraming salamat.
Thank you,
Jamie,
guys.
thank you so much.
Thank you.